What's up, y'all? Today I'm talking about the school system. I kind of felt like my last few videos were a little bit serious, a little bit dark, and so this one's going to be more fun and light-hearted. It's not like our civilization is hanging by a thread and we're on the brink of civil war or anything. No. We're all good. We're talking about music here. So of course, all the public school systems want to cut their music departments because in their view, that's the least important subject for students to learn. And then you wonder why depression rates are skyrocketing and drug abuse rates are skyrocketing and kids' grades are getting less and less and less. Nope, just keep cutting the music departments because those are expendable, I guess. I just can't square this circle because it seems like they have some sort of data or some sort of scientific expertise backing this idea that music departments should be cut first and foremost. But all the data that I've seen has seemed to suggest that music helps increase kids' IQ. It reduces the likelihood that they're going to get into gangs and violence and drugs and all this kind of stuff as well. So I'm not seeing where the music department should be the first to be cut. So I'm going to just sort of throw some ideas out here about maybe some of the other subjects that we should be cutting in order to save the music department, which in my opinion is the most valuable department in the school. I'm going to take down the big boy first. I'm talking about science. Who needs to know about science these days? I mean, what are you going to do in a middle school or high school level science class? You're going to sit there, you're going to read a bunch of boring stuff about, oh, this is what this type of cloud is called, and this is what this type of cloud is called. And you see that rock on the ground there? That's called a geode. When are you going to be in a apocalyptic future and have no electricity, but you just happen to have one potato and one light bulb and like a little piece of wire? When is that situation ever going to present itself? But you might be in a situation where you have the most beautiful woman you've ever seen, and you want to express your deepest emotional qualities of your heart to her. Well, you can't do that with a potato and a light bulb, my friend. Where do you have to use any of that information? So we're going to memorize the periodic table of elements. So we're going to have this whole big, long mnemonic device that we're going to use to remember all of these elements that we're never going to need to use anyway. But we're going to memorize this entire mnemonic device with all these different letters and this little rhythm that it has. But, if you don't have some level of musical competence, you're going to be less good at memorizing stuff anyway. So in my opinion, get rid of all the science classes, all the chemistry classes, all the biology classes, just cut them, throw them out the window, fire all the teachers, improve the orchestra, improve the school band, improve the choir, improve the jazz band or the gospel choir. I'm a big fan of make education fun, make teaching fun, and I think the most boring teachers on the planet are science teachers, except for my science teacher when I was in high school, Mr. Glazer. He was one of the most awesome teachers in the world, and he was a Frank Zappa fan, so we got along pretty good. In my school, Glazer would be cut right away. Sorry, Glaze. Next subject we need to cut is mathematics. Get rid of it. What is math anyway? It's a bunch of abstract, arbitrary nonsense. I mean, like what? You don't know how to count to 10? You don't know how to do 10 times 10? Like, this is so basic. Like, you don't even need to teach this anymore. Any mathematical problem that you have, you can just pull out your phone and use the calculator and compute it within seconds. So why are they teaching kids how to do long division? Why are they teaching kids order of operations? Why do they need to know any of that? They don't. It's completely outdated. It's completely irrelevant. Fire all the math teachers and hire a few violin teachers instead. I think you would learn way more about math, and it would be way more useful to you, and you would be expressing yourself emotionally and spiritually through your music while you're counting and doing math in your head, in real time, in rhythm with the music. I think that will suffice. Next subject that we should cut completely is English. What do you need to know about English? Everybody knows how to speak. Everybody knows how to talk and communicate. I mean, you're in the womb listening to your mother speak. You're hearing all her words. You're processing that. You're learning language. You're learning emotional tones and qualities. And you learn all that by rote. You learn it by doing it. You're not going to learn how to be a great writer by taking a high school English class and writing some terrible 3-paragraph essay with an introduction and an exposition and a conclusion. It's not even a good format to use. You should have an introduction to your symphony, to your hit song, and learning how to communicate with music and lyric, and learning how to take a complex idea and a very layered, maybe a very dark, controversial idea, and convey it with 4, 5, 6 words in a metered syllabic way is way more of a valuable skill, because you're going to be doing a lot more talking and speaking and communicating than you are going to be writing 3-paragraph essays for your English teacher that's going to be taking the red pen out and circling because you forgot a punctuation and because you use and instead of or. So in my opinion, cut it and add a songwriting department in its place. I'll be happy to teach it, in fact. Next subject they need to cut: social studies. What does that even mean? First of all, I don't even know why they call it social studies. Why not call it history? You know, why not call it demographics? Why not call it civics? Something that actually means something. Social studies is just this vague thing. Why do you even need to be taught history in a class when, again, you can pull out your phone and you can Google search in a nanosecond any historical event that happened, any historical figure? Even the less relevant nobodies of history probably have some kind of Wikipedia article up there and some kind of source on the fact that they were alive and what they did and what they accomplished. And you're going to say, no, you have to sit down in a desk and take this quiz and memorize 5,000 dates and years and names of people, and here's a big map of the United States, and you have to draw every state in, and you have to put the capitals. You have to memorize all of this useless, arbitrary information. And I get that it's kind of important to know a little bit of geography. It's important to know, like, where your state is and how your government is run and all that. But do we really need to be wasting kids' lives away in schools, making them feel self-conscious and worried that they're not smart enough because they can't memorize a bunch of nonsense that they're not interested in? I say, take them into a band class and study great historical works of music. You're going to learn so much more about the zeitgeist of whatever country that music was written in by studying the music rather than memorizing a bunch of useless facts and numbers. So, for instance, you have the 1812 Overture. You have, Chopin composing music, the Warsaw Concerto. These big battles and conflicts that were going on in these countries inspired great works of music. And by listening to that music, you're not just learning about the fact that it happened, which is kind of pointless information to have. You're learning how it felt. You're learning how the people actually thought about it at the time. You're learning the actual context and the relevance of such historical events. I would want my kids to be excited to learn and looking forward to learning something about history, to learning something about science and physics. All of that is covered in music education. You have to learn about frequency when you're playing the piano, when you're playing a string. You have to learn about how objects vibrate and generate sound waves, and how those sound waves affect other things in the room, how it interacts with your eardrum, and how it affects with your brain to actually generate emotional responses. That's way more interesting than talking about how to take a potato and turn a light bulb on. So I think that's pretty much all the subjects that are taught nowadays. I think you could just replace all of them with a really, really powerful music department and have kids happy to go to school and make noise. I remember when I was back in middle school, the very first period of the day was band class. And I used to just love going to school. I loved showing up early and hanging out with the other percussionists and talking to the girls that were playing flute and stuff. It was fun. It was like we were in a band, we were in a group, we were in like our own little clique. And in our minds, we were the cool kids because we were sitting around blowing flutes and making noise and beating on marimbas and drums, while everybody else was sitting somewhere and doing busy work on some piece of paper. But let me know what you guys think. Do you agree? Am I completely off base here? I might be a little extreme in suggesting that we cut all of the other departments and only have music. Yeah, that might be, a little bit too far. Maybe that's exactly what we need in our culture today to help everybody kind of unify on the principle that we want to have fun, we want to be happy, we want to be productive, rather than, we want to be made to feel like we don't know anything. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Not everybody's into music, but I think if they taught it more frequently in the schools, then they would be. And again, you can go look up the science for yourself. You can go look up the data on this stuff. It's pretty darn conclusive in one direction that music has way benefits for your intelligence, your behavior. I truly believe that if we get rid of these boring subjects and make school fun again, all of the kids are going to make the money.